They told women to stay quiet, stay soft, stay afraid. Society built invisible cages and called them standards. But something dangerous happens when a woman stops asking for permission and starts discovering her power. A strong mind terrifies people because it cannot be controlled, manipulated, or silenced. The world fears women who think independently, speak boldly, and rise after every downfall. They call her difficult, intimidating, even dangerous simply because she refuses to break. Today, this is not just a speech about women. It is a warning to every limit ever placed upon them. Unstoppable minds are being created, and they are no longer afraid. For centuries, silence has been one of society's most powerful weapons against women. It was never chains or locked doors alone that held women back. It was the constant pressure to remain quiet, obedient, and invisible. Girls are often taught from a young age to lower their voices, hide their anger, and accept disrespect politely. They are told that speaking too boldly makes them difficult, emotional, or dangerous. Society praises silence because silent people are easier to control. A woman who questions unfair rules threatens systems built on fear and obedience. That is why silence has always been encouraged like a virtue, even when it slowly destroys confidence, dreams, and identity. Many women grow up carrying thoughts they never speak aloud. They stay silent about discrimination, silent about unfair expectations, silent about the pain caused by judgment and limitations. Some remain quiet because they fear criticism. Others stay silent because they were taught that sacrifice is the definition of being good. Over time, silence becomes a prison built inside the mind. It convinces women to doubt their own opinions and second-guess their own worth. The tragedy is that the world often mistakes silence for weakness, while in reality, it is usually exhaustion from fighting battles nobody sees. Society fears outspoken women because strong voices challenge old traditions. When a woman confidently speaks her truth, people suddenly become uncomfortable. They call her aggressive instead of passionate, arrogant instead of confident, rebellious instead of courageous. The same qualities celebrated in powerful men are criticized in women. This double standard reveals how deeply silence is connected to control. If women remain quiet, they can be shaped into whatever society wants them to be. But once they begin speaking freely, thinking independently, and refusing to apologize for their existence, the illusion of control starts to break apart. Silence also creates invisible wounds. A woman who constantly hides her emotions may appear calm on the outside while carrying storms within her mind. Every ignored opinion, every interrupted sentence, every moment of disrespect leaves a mark. Eventually, silence turns pain inward. It creates self-doubt, anxiety, and fear of being judged. Some women begin shrinking themselves to make others comfortable. They stop sharing ideas, stop chasing ambitions, and stop believing their voices matter. This is how silence steals power without anyone noticing. But history has always changed when women decided they would no longer remain quiet. Every major step toward equality began with someone refusing silence. The moment a woman speaks despite fear, she weakens the weapon society once used against her. Her voice becomes proof that strength does not require permission. Speaking up does not mean shouting at the world every second. Sometimes it simply means refusing to hide who you are. It means defending your dreams without guilt. It means expressing opinions without apologizing. It means understanding that your voice deserves space in every room you enter. A strong mind is built the moment a woman realizes silence was never protecting her. It was protecting the comfort of those afraid of her potential. The world may resist powerful women because confidence exposes insecurity and truth threatens control. But every woman who breaks her silence inspires others to do the same. And once voices rise together, the weapon that once controlled generations begins to lose its power forever. A strong mind is one of the most powerful things a person can possess because it cannot be controlled by fear, pressure, manipulation, or the opinions of others. People may control someone's environment, limit opportunities, or create obstacles, but they struggle to control a person who knows their worth and refuses to surrender their thinking. That is why society often feels uncomfortable around strong-minded women. A woman with a powerful mindset does not easily accept disrespect, unfair standards, or limitations created to weaken her confidence. She questions what others blindly follow, and that independence alone becomes threatening to those who depend on control. Control begins where self-doubt exists. The moment someone convinces a woman that she is not smart enough, beautiful enough, capable enough, or worthy enough, they gain influence over her choices. Fear becomes the invisible chain that keeps her trapped. But a strong mind breaks those chains because it understands that worth is not decided by public approval. A mentally strong woman does not need constant validation to believe in herself. She knows who she is even when the world misunderstands her. This confidence cannot be easily manipulated because it is built from self-awareness instead of outside praise. Many people confuse strength with aggression, but true mental strength is calm, disciplined, and focused. A strong-minded woman does not waste energy proving herself to everyone. She remains steady even when criticized because she understands that opinions change constantly. Weak minds follow crowds to feel accepted, while strong minds stand alone if necessary. Society often pressures women to shrink themselves so others feel comfortable. They are expected to speak carefully, dream carefully, and behave carefully to avoid judgment. But a strong mind refuses to live in fear of criticism. It understands that no matter what a woman does, someone will always have something negative to say. Therefore, living honestly becomes more important than pleasing everyone. A controlled mind reacts emotionally to every insult and every obstacle. A strong mind responds with patience and wisdom. It does not allow temporary pain to destroy long-term goals. Life will always bring disappointment, betrayal, and hardship, but mentally strong women learn how to transform suffering into growth instead of bitterness. Every challenge becomes proof of resilience. Every failure becomes a lesson rather than a reason to quit. This ability to remain focused under pressure is what makes strong minds difficult to control. Fear loses its power when a woman realizes she has survived things that once seemed impossible. People who seek control often use intimidation, shame, or doubt to weaken confidence. They discourage ambition by making women feel selfish for wanting success. They criticize independence because dependent people are easier to influence. But a strong mind recognizes manipulation clearly. It understands that confidence is not arrogance and independence is not rebellion. A woman who thinks for herself threatens systems that benefit from silence and insecurity. That is why mentally powerful women are sometimes labeled difficult, intimidating. In reality, they are simply unwilling to surrender their identity to satisfy others. The strongest minds are not built during comfort, they are built during struggle. Pain teaches awareness, failure teaches resilience, and loneliness teaches self-reliance. A woman who survives hardship while protecting her dignity develops a strength that no one can easily break. She becomes impossible to control because she no longer fears rejection, criticism, or obstacles. Her mind becomes stronger than the pressure designed to weaken her. And once a woman reaches that level of mental strength, she stops living according to the limits society created for her and begins living according to the power she discovers within herself. Fear is one of the most powerful emotions human beings experience. It can stop dreams, destroy confidence, and convince people to remain trapped inside limitations for their entire lives. Many women grow up surrounded by fear in different forms. Fear of judgment, fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of speaking too loudly, and fear of becoming too much for society to accept. These fears are not created overnight. They are built slowly through criticism, pressure, and expectations that teach women to doubt themselves before even trying. But the most powerful transformation begins when fear no longer controls a woman and instead becomes the source of her strength. Fear itself is not weakness. Every strong person has felt fear at some point. The difference is that powerful people refuse to let fear decide their future. A woman with a strong mind understands that courage does not mean being fearless. Courage means moving forward despite fear. The moment she stops running from challenges and starts facing them directly, fear begins to lose its control over her. What once felt like a wall blocking her path slowly becomes fuel pushing her forward. Society often uses fear to keep women silent and obedient. Women are warned that ambition may make them unlikable, confidence may make them intimidating, and independence may make them difficult to control. Many are taught to avoid risks because failure will attract criticism. As a result, countless women hide their talents and dreams to protect themselves from judgment. But living in constant fear slowly destroys potential. It creates a life where survival becomes more important than growth. A woman may appear safe while silently losing pieces of herself every day. The transformation happens when a woman realizes that fear and growth often exist together. Every achievement begins with discomfort. Every success begins with uncertainty. The fear of failing in public, speaking up, or taking risks may feel overwhelming, but avoiding those fears only strengthens them. Facing them weakens them. A woman who speaks despite trembling becomes stronger. A woman who continues after failure becomes wiser. A woman who rises after heartbreak becomes more resilient. Fear starts changing into power the moment she understands that pain cannot destroy her unless she surrenders to it. Strong women are not born without fear. They become strong because they learn how to use fear differently. Instead of allowing fear to stop them, they allow it to sharpen them. Fear teaches awareness, discipline, and preparation. It pushes people beyond comfort zones and reveals abilities they never knew they possessed. Some of the strongest women in the world once doubted themselves deeply. They once felt afraid to speak, let, or dream bigger, but they chose action over hesitation. That choice changed everything. People are often surprised when quiet women become powerful because they mistake silence for weakness. They do not realize how much strength is created through struggle. A woman who has battled fear understands herself on a deeper level. She learns that confidence is not given by society, it is earned through experience. Every obstacle she survives becomes the evidence of her capability. Every challenge she overcomes becomes proof that fear was never stronger than her potential. There comes a point when fear no longer feels like an enemy. Instead, it becomes a reminder that something important is ahead. A woman with a strong mindset stops seeing fear as a reason to retreat and starts seeing it as a sign to grow. The same fear that once controlled her decisions becomes the force that drives her toward transformation. And when fear finally turns into the power, she becomes unstoppable because nothing is more dangerous than a woman who has learned how to rise beyond the limits that once terrified her. Confidence has always made insecure people uncomfortable because it exposes the fears they try to hide within themselves. A confident woman walks into a room without begging for attention, yet her presence alone can disturb weak mentalities. Not because she is arrogant or superior, but because self-belief challenges people who depend on doubt, approval, and control. Society often claims to admire confident women, but the reality is very different. Many people only support confidence when it remains small, quiet, and non-threatening. The moment a woman becomes truly fearless in her thinking, opinions, and ambitions, she suddenly faces criticism from those intimidated by her strength. Weak mentalities struggle to understand confidence because they view life through comparison and insecurity. They believe another person's success somehow reduces their own value. Instead of being inspired by strong women, they feel threatened by them. A confident woman reminds insecure people of everything they fear becoming. Her independence highlights their dependence. Her courage exposes their hesitation. Her self-respect reveals the lack of respect they have for themselves. That is why weak minds often attack confidence instead of learning from it. Many women experience this pressure throughout their lives. The moment they speak with certainty, they are called bossy. When they express ambition, they are called selfish. When they refuse disrespect, they are called difficult. Society frequently tries to punish confident women by making them feel guilty for their strength. Weak-minded people are more comfortable around women who constantly apologize, seek approval, and stay silent about their abilities. Confidence breaks that expectation completely. A woman who knows her worth cannot easily be manipulated, and that makes controlling her far more difficult. Confidence is often misunderstood as perfection, but true confidence does not come from being flawless. It comes from accepting imperfections without allowing them to define self-worth. A confident woman understands that failure is part of growth, criticism is part of success, and rejection is part of life. She no longer wastes energy trying to satisfy everyone around her because she realizes that people will judge her no matter what she does. This mindset scares weak mentalities because insecure people depend heavily on outside validation. They fear judgment so deeply that they limit themselves to avoid criticism. Watching someone live freely despite judgment feels threatening to them. Weak minds often respond to confidence with negativity. They gossip, criticize, mock, or attempt to humble strong women because tearing others down temporarily hides their own insecurity. Instead of improving themselves, they attack anyone who reminds them of their weakness. A confident woman becomes an easy target because her strength stands out clearly. But criticism from insecure people says more about their fears than her character. Truly strong individuals are inspired by confidence in others, while weak mentalities feel challenged by it. There is also power in silent confidence. A strong-minded woman does not need to constantly prove herself because her actions already reflect her strength. She remains calm under pressure, focused during challenges, and steady during criticism. Weak-minded people often mistake kindness for weakness until they realize confidence does not require loudness. Real confidence is peaceful because it is rooted in self-awareness rather than ego. It does not seek dominance over others, it simply refuses to shrink itself for anyone's comfort. The world changes when women stop apologizing for their confidence. The moment a woman understands her value without needing permission from society, she becomes unstoppable. Weak mentalities may try to discourage her because her strength disrupts their comfort, but confidence continues growing when it is built on truth and self-respect. A confident woman inspires others to break free from fear, insecurity, and self-doubt. And nothing scares weak mentalities more than a woman who fully realizes her power and refuses to hide it anymore. Pain has a way of changing people, but for many women it becomes more than suffering, it becomes transformation. Behind countless strong women are stories filled with disappointment, betrayal, heartbreak, rejection, sacrifice, and silent battles nobody ever noticed. Society often sees powerful women and assumes their strength appeared naturally, without understanding the struggles that shaped them. The truth is that strength is usually built in the darkest moments of life. Women rise stronger after pain because pain forces them to discover parts of themselves they never knew existed. Many women are taught to endure silently. They carry emotional burdens while still caring for others, smiling through exhaustion and continuing despite feeling broken inside. Society often expects women to heal quickly, forgive easily, and remain emotionally available no matter how deeply they have been hurt. But pain leaves marks, even when invisible. Every betrayal changes trust. Every failure challenges confidence. Every heartbreak tests emotional strength. Yet instead of allowing pain to completely destroy them, many women learn how to rebuild themselves from it. Pain teaches lessons comfort never can. A woman who has experienced disappointment learns how to rely on herself. A woman who survives rejection learns that her worth does not depend on acceptance from others. A woman who overcomes hardship discovers resilience hidden beneath her fear. These lessons are not easy, and growth through pain is never beautiful in the moment. There are nights filled with doubt, loneliness, and emotional exhaustion. There are moments when giving up feels easier than continuing. But every time a woman chooses to stand back up after life knocks her down, her mind becomes stronger than before. Society often underestimates women who have suffered because pain is mistaken for weakness. In reality, surviving pain requires enormous strength. The strongest women are not always the loudest or most aggressive. Often they are the ones who quietly survive situations that could have destroyed them emotionally. They carry scars without allowing those scars to define their future. Instead of becoming bitter, they become wiser. Instead of remaining broken, they become more aware of their own value. Pain changes their perspective on life, relationships, and self-respect. There comes a moment when pain stops controlling a woman and starts teaching her. She begins realizing that every difficult experience shaped her into someone stronger, more independent, and more emotionally aware. The fear that once consumed her slowly disappears because she understands she has already survived some of life's hardest moments. A woman who has overcome pain becomes difficult to intimidate because she knows what it means to suffer and still continue moving forward. Pain also reveals hidden power. Many women discover their voice after being silenced for too long. They discover self-respect after experiencing disrespect. They discover courage after surviving fear. The very experiences meant to weaken them often become the reason they grow stronger. This transformation is powerful because it cannot be easily taken away. Strength built through struggle becomes part of a woman's identity. She no longer depends entirely on comfort or approval because she has learned how to survive even without them. Strong women are not created by perfect lives. They are created by challenges that force growth, pain that teaches resilience, and moments that demand courage. Every scar carries a lesson. Every setback carries wisdom. Every painful chapter becomes evidence that survival is possible. When women rise after pain, they rise differently. They become more aware of their worth, more protective of their peace, and more fearless about pursuing their dreams. And once a woman realizes that pain did not destroy her but transformed her, she becomes stronger than anyone who ever doubted her ability to rise again. Every major change in history began with someone who refused to think like everyone else. Unstoppable minds are dangerous to a world built on fear, limitations, and control because they refuse to accept boundaries placed upon them by society. These minds challenge traditions, question injustice, and continue moving forward even when surrounded by criticism or failure. When women develop unstoppable minds, they become forces capable of changing not only their own lives, but also the world around them. A strong and determined mindset creates confidence, courage, and resilience, powerful enough to inspire generations. Society often tries to shape women into predictable versions of themselves. Women are expected to follow rules quietly, avoid taking risks, and seek approval before making bold decisions. Many are taught to prioritize acceptance over ambition and silence over truth, but unstoppable minds reject these limitations completely. A woman with a powerful mindset understands that her purpose is not to fit comfortably into expectations created by others. She realizes that real growth begins the moment she stops living for approval and starts living according to her own vision. Unstoppable minds are not created through comfort. They are built through struggle, pain, rejection, and persistence. Every challenge strengthens determination. Every failure teaches wisdom. Every obstacle becomes proof that survival is possible. A woman who continues moving forward despite disappointment develops mental strength that cannot easily be broken. She stops fearing judgment because she understands that criticism is unavoidable when doing something meaningful. Weak minds surrender when life becomes difficult, but unstoppable minds adapt, learn, and continue pushing forward. The world changes because of people who refuse to quit. Women with unstoppable minds become leaders, innovators, creators, and voices for change because they refuse to remain trapped by fear. They speak even when others want silence. They dream even when society tells them to settle for less. They continue rising after setbacks while others expect them to give up. This persistence inspires others to believe in themselves as well. One fearless woman often gives courage to many others who are waiting for permission to believe in their own strength. People are often intimidated by unstoppable minds because they cannot easily control them. A mentally powerful woman does not allow negativity, manipulation, or rejection to define her future. She understands her worth even during difficult moments. This confidence disturbs weak mentalities because independent thinkers expose the limitations created by fear. Society is comfortable with women who doubt themselves, but it becomes uncomfortable when women fully realize their power. An unstoppable woman challenges every system designed to make her feel small. True power is not about dominating others. It is about mastering oneself. Unstoppable minds remain focused even during chaos. They do not waste energy proving themselves to people determined to misunderstand them. Instead, they invest energy into growth, purpose, and progress. They understand that changing the world does not always begin with huge actions. Sometimes it begins with one woman deciding she will no longer remain silent, afraid, or ashamed of her ambitions. History remembers people who dared to think differently. Every movement, every breakthrough, and every revolution started with minds that refused to surrender to limitations. Women with unstoppable minds carry this same potential within them. Their resilience creates change in families, communities, workplaces, and entire societies. They become examples of courage for younger generations watching them rise despite obstacles. The most powerful thing about unstoppable minds is that they inspire others to awaken their own strength. When a woman truly believes in herself, fear loses its control over her future. She becomes capable of overcoming challenges that once seemed impossible. Her determination grows. Stronger than criticism, stronger than doubt, and stronger than failure. And once enough unstoppable minds rise together, the world has no choice but to change.